Last October, right after school, my friends and I decided to visit a small pumpkin patch on the edge of town. The air was cold and crisp, the kind that carries the scent of fallen leaves and baked goods. The trees were painted orange and gold, and the ground was a crunchy carpet of color. We'd been looking forward to that day all week. It felt like the perfect start to autumn. The patch was small but busy. Families wandered between rows of pumpkins, parents lifting their kids for photos, and the smell of cinnamon pastries drifted from a wooden stand near the entrance. We parked, grabbed one of those little red wagons, and started down the rows, laughing as we picked out pumpkins for carving. Everything felt warm, ordinary, safe. Until Kevin pointed toward the far end of the patch, a narrow path leading into a shadowy corner near the tree line. "Bet you won't grab that one," he said, grinning, and pointed at the biggest pumpkin sitting by itself near the woods. I laughed, pretending to be brave. "Fine," I said. "Watch me." The path was narrower than I thought. The deeper we went, the quieter it got. The sounds of kids laughing and the distant hum of chatter faded behind us. All that was left was the rustling of dry leaves and the whisper of the wind weaving through the trees. I remember thinking how strange it felt, how quickly that cheerful noise could disappear. When we finally reached the end of the row, I noticed something odd. Beyond the last few pumpkins, right where the trees began, stood what I thought was a scarecrow. It was tall and thin, with its arms stretched out and a hat covering its face. But the longer I stared, the more uneasy I felt. The hat moved, just slightly, like someone breathing beneath it. "Do you guys see that?" I whispered. Kevin looked up, squinted, then shrugged. "Probably just decoration," he said. But it didn't look like any decoration I'd ever seen. The thing was too still, too human. I picked up the pumpkin quickly, trying not to look at it again. My stomach felt heavy, and even the air seemed colder. As we started walking back, I glanced over my shoulder and froze. The figure looked closer. I couldn't tell if it had moved or if my eyes were playing tricks on me, but I knew it wasn't in the same place as before. "Stop looking back," Kevin said, laughing. "You're creeping yourself out." Maybe he was right. Maybe I was just letting my imagination run wild. I turned back toward the main area, focusing on the laughter in the distance. When I looked again, the figure was gone. Relief washed over me, but only for a moment. As we pushed the wagon toward the stand, the sun dipped lower. The light had that orange glow that lasts only a few minutes before fading to gray. The shadows stretched long, reaching across the field like fingers. Just as we passed the edge of the woods again, I heard it, a sharp crack like a branch snapping under weight. "Did you hear that?" I asked. Kevin shook his head. "You're just jumpy, man." But then I turned around, and there it was again, 10 feet behind us. No arms out this time, just standing, watching. My throat went dry. The figure tilted its head slightly, studying us, and then, without moving its legs, it started to glide forward. It wasn't walking. It was floating, silent except for the leaves crunching in its wake. "Run," I managed to whisper, and Kevin saw it too. His eyes went wide. We bolted. The wagon bounced, pumpkins thudding as we ran as fast as we could toward the lights and the crowd. I could hear the dry rustle behind us. Fast, too fast for something that wasn't running. When we reached the main area, laughter and chatter filled the air again. People looked at us like we were crazy. I turned back toward the pumpkin rows, and my heart nearly stopped. The figure stood at the edge of the patch, right where the sunlight met the shadows. It just stood there, still as stone, head tilted slightly, watching. We didn't say a word. We paid for our pumpkins and ran straight to the car. Kevin drove, his hands shaking. I stared out the window, half expecting to see that hat in the rearview mirror. But it didn't follow. At least I don't think it did. That night I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that thing. Tall, thin, gliding between the trees. I tried to tell myself it was a prank, some teenager trying to scare people for Halloween. But no one would go that far, not in a family pumpkin patch. A few days later, a post popped up online. Someone else had seen it. Same patch, same corner by the woods. They said it stood there motionless, wearing a wide hat and white gloves, just staring. It didn't speak. It didn't walk. I never went back. Every October since then, when the air turns cold and the leaves start to fall, I think about that figure. The way it seemed to glide instead of walk. The way it just watched. And I still wonder, if Kevin hadn't been there, if I'd gone to grab that pumpkin alone, would it have followed me all the way to the car?